The key to making millions in crypto has probably been staring you right at the face. And if you've been watching this channel, you might know. But even then, it might not be so obvious. The game has changed forever, ladies and gentlemen. And we are growing up, we are getting more mature, and we are going to talk about that today. There's a problem that there's a small group of investors, just a few of them, that are actually making all the money. They're making all the profits. Where do you think those profits come from? They come from you, ladies and gentlemen, the retail, the small guys, and that has to change. This entire environment of PvP, player versus player, is not one that we want to get involved in. And so while a lot of people might be spreading their bags so thin, the key to making millions is actually to concentrate on the winning protocols, the winning communities, where you have a guarantee that someone or something or a protocol is going to be there to buy your bag at the end of the day. Today, we're going to talk about something called protocol pump player, which is an evolution of something called player pump player, which is getting away from that PvP environment that we're all so sick of, where people are dumping on each other. This is a really important episode for all of you guys to listen to tonight. And this isn't some advanced, super secret kind of knowledge. This is actually, believe it or not, 101 basic crypto knowledge. The problem is that most people don't take the time to understand how token economics work and how a proper token should function, the value accrual, how it's distributed. And so today we're going to talk about probably the most important thing in investing in crypto. That's to understand how the token works. All right, guys, let's dive into it. So first of all, I'm going to show you this little article here from Hackin. It says why 95% of token designs are bad and what defines good tokenomics. And you can see here, it talks about utility, value capture, and economic security. I'll add something simple like sustainability to that. Yeah, it's called token economics for a reason. It is an economy. And if you go to ChatGPT, or if you ask anybody what makes a good economy, you're gonna look at different things. And you're gonna look at things like taxation, GDP or revenue, the salaries that people make, the employment rate, right? And so these are all things that someone should take into consideration when designing an economic model. And guess what, guys? That token that you're buying, that meme coin, that DeFi project, that gaming project, they all are virtual economies. Yes, they literally are. I believe that the days of looking at something just from a speculative perspective, they're not going to survive forever. There might be one or two memes or something that get away with it for a little while, but everyone's evolving. Instead of spreading ourselves too thin, and you'll notice that probably I haven't been talking about a bunch of new projects. Why? Because I believe that we can be here and make millions of dollars focusing on a handful or a couple handfuls of good projects that are following the 101 stuff, the most important stuff, the protocol pumps player kind of ideology. And so let's get into that. Again, this is 101 basic stuff, but it's amazing how many people don't understand this. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been talking about this stuff for a while. And if you guys have been following me for a while and you got a lot of value, do the channel a favor and destroy the like button. And most importantly, guys, make sure that you go to the bell notification and subscribe and hit bell notification all so that you guys get the updates on these videos as soon as I make them. They are very, very important. Probably some of the most important things that you could be watching for this upcoming bull run and just in your crypto career in general. What has happened recently? First of all, Meow made a post, right? And Meow is the founder of Jupiter. I love Jupiter, best experience on Solana when it comes down to trading. Basically what Meow said is that this PvP environment has to stop. So he proposed something called PPP or player pump player. I made an article after I read his posts. And basically what I said is I highlighted and acknowledged what Meow said. I highly suggest that you go read this in detail. And what I appreciated from it a lot was a way to frame this idea that I've been trying to jam down your throats is proper token economy. It gave me a base to work with to explain that better. And so what Meow was saying is that this PvP, essentially people telling you to go buy this token and then dumping on you when you buy it, like we've seen in the meme coin space, the NFT space in 2021, that's where everyone just is getting wrecked left and right? You guys are getting absolutely destroyed buying meme coins. It's a horrible market where everyone just wants you to buy the bag so they can sell and dump on you. It's really, really bad, and I'm sick of it. So what I did in my article is I outlined all of Meow's. And so all you can go here and you can read from acknowledging Meow's insight all the way down here from part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And this sums up exactly what Meow said in his long blog post. Now, what I said is that, okay, he defines this as player pump player. And that is exactly right. It should be like that, right? In the early days when a community is fragile, that's when it's the most vulnerable. And so that's when people need to stick together the most in the early days. And so that's the player pump player idea. Hey, you bring your friend into the project, but you guys are aligned on the long-term value of this thing and you're not dumping on each other. However, this idea falls too much and relies too much on inherent human trust, which is an antithesis of blockchain. We want to verify. We don't want to have to trust anybody. My post highlights this thing called protocol pump player, which is essentially what we've been building for a long time at Paid Network and Commonwealth, and what I've been highlighting in other projects like Banana Gun and things like that. And so today we're going to talk about those and introduce a few new ones to you guys that are following this protocol pump player ideology. Essentially what protocol pump player is it's saying that we don't necessarily want to or can't trust the community, that they're going to do what's in the best interest of the community. Unfortunately, we wish that we could, but in my opinion, that's a very utopian idea that just relies too much on trusting other people. Instead, what you want to do is use blockchain and technology and how blockchain is transparent, and you can plug in through APIs and you can read the chain and you can make dashboards. It's basically to create a revenue generating protocol that uses the revenue and shares it back with the community by buying the token back on the open market. Maybe it's burning it. Maybe it's sharing revenue rewards, revenue share. Maybe it's adding to liquidity. But you have that revenue from a revenue generating protocol, and that is using it to buy back the token on the open market. So that's where the protocol pump player comes in. Even if no other person buys the token, you have assurance, essentially a guarantee that as long as that protocol is making money, it will be buying the token. So that's essentially the idea. I encourage you guys to go read it. It's quite detailed. It's just part one of a multi-part series that I'm going to do. But today we're going to cover this, and we're going to cover these particular projects: Jupiter, BONK, TCAT, PEPECOIN, BASEDAI, Paid Network, Banana Gun, Commonwealth, Brett, and Tucker. So we got some meme coins, we got some DeFi, we got some bots in there. In my article, I highlight things like on-chain transparency, community-driven mechanisms, revenue guarantees, and innovative utility. I will include a link to this in the description below so you guys can check it out as well. Also, let me know in the comments below when you guys are watching this if there's any other projects I should be aware of that are following these kind of ideas that are pumping revenue back into the token, allowing sustainable models that don't rely on inflation from tokens that aren't unlocked. See, another problem is that when sometimes people give rewards to token stakers, for example, they come from locked tokens into circulation, creating inflation. We don't want to do that, right? We want rewards and things like that to be earned from real revenue. And that creates a sustainable, non-inflationary model, which is exactly what we want. Inflation, bad. Deflation, good, for the price of a token, essentially. So Meow goes on to talk about Jupiter a little bit and what they're doing. And they're doing some really great things, upgrading the meta now for new tokens. And basically, he's saying how he wants to fall in line with his whole PPP ideology. But he's really leaning toward a protocol pump player idea as well, where he's creating more utility for the token. Now, what I don't know yet, and I haven't looked into it deep enough, I haven't done a deep dive, but I don't know yet if there's going to be revenue share or some type of revenue guarantee yet from Jupiter that it will be buying the token on the open market. I'm not sure. One thing that I do know for sure is that he's creating new utility, new ways to use that token that might make people stake, for example, that will remove circulating supply, at least temporarily, while they want to use the services. The problem with this, in my opinion, is that it's not permanently removing supply or circulation. It's just temporarily doing it. So when a bear market comes or people get sick of using the product, they're going to sell those tokens and you have them back in circulation. So it's not a permanent fix of supply. It's just temporary. Now, I'm not saying that Jupiter is not working on solutions to do things like removing supply permanently. I'm just saying I haven't looked into it deep enough yet. Now, this whole video is not just about meme coins, but I do want to give you some perspective here. And I've covered this post before from Art Chick saying that Billy is the first meme to go to 100 million since Michi 2 months ago. Since Michi cracked 100 million in late April, there have been 34 million coins created. So your chances of picking a low cap winner is 1 in 34 million. Basically, you're playing the lottery here, right? I'm not looking for projects that are going to 50 million or 10 million. I'm looking for projects that are going to hundreds of millions of dollars or $1 billion or multi-billions of dollars, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today, whereas I think that everything I'm talking about in today's video has that kind of potential. Why? Because they're following this protocol pump player ideology. It's very, very important, and you'll see as we go through this video. So there's two ways to go to market. One of them is traditional, and that is build a product and then build a community around it through marketing and memes. The other one is meme coin go to market, whereas a meme coin identifies a community of users around a meme coin and then builds a product that incorporates that token. So both ways are acceptable. And the meme coin one is quite new, but that's why I'm encouraging projects, once you have created a community around a meme, to then go ahead and build utility around it, and then build a revenue generating utility that then can go back and generate that buy pressure on the token, so that people have more confidence in the fact that there's going to be constant buy pressure on that token, regardless of new people come into the project or not. And then of course, if that's happening, then of course new people are going to come and speculate on that because they know that there's constant buy pressure, right? And so you look at something like BONK, which I'm very, very bullish on BONK. We've talked about it before on the channel at $300 million market cap. You can see that BONK has tons and tons of integrations. They've got 36 exchanges, 28 different DeFi protocols are using it, a bunch of different things. But BONK is also doing things like BONK which we'll talk about, BONK Swap, BONK Rewards, Moonwalk, Pooper Scooper, and Open BONK. And so there's a lot of different ways where BONK is being used as utility within the BONK ecosystem. More than I even knew before I started doing the research for this video. I feel like after doing the research today, I'm very, very underexposed to BONK actually, and I think I want to go buy some more. I haven't yet. I do think I want to. You can see the Dune dashboard around BONK, and this is what happens when a protocol pump player type of project comes around for a while. Data becomes important, and it's very interesting, right? And you can see here that the BONK project has bought back 400 billion BONK have been burnt. You can see here that it's a buyback and it's a burn, right? And you can see that there's been 1.6 trillion BONK bought back. There's been 4 trillion bought back. So this goes ecosystem contributions, and this is just buybacks in total. Very, very, very powerful, extremely powerful, right? And you can see some more data over here. And there's things like different rewards that go to people who are staking or different using it. But essentially average volume per user, all this cool data. And this gives you, you should be going looking at these dashboards if they have one and seeing what kind of, guarantees do you have from the protocol for this idea of protocol pump player. This will give you a good idea over time, and you'll see how powerful this is here in BonkBot or Banana Gun when we go to that. And you can see that this chart is incredibly bullish. This was dead for a long time, just like doing nothing essentially. And then we had this huge run up where we started talking about it like somewhere over here, something like that, at $300 million. And now it's sitting at 2.57 billion with an all-time high of about 4.5 billion. And we started telling you guys about this about 300 billion. BonkBot is doing all the right things, very bullish on it. And that's a number like that, along with WIF, are number one memes on Solana. However, WIF doesn't really have any great utilities yet, and BONK does, which makes me actually think that maybe I'm underexposed to BONK and maybe overexposed to WIF, or at least I should be balancing those bags out, because in the long run, I believe that BONK probably will do better than WIF just because of that factor load. Now, Tonkat is a newer one. It's probably one of the most popular memes on Terrell, who is kind of the head of the community takeover over there. He's been telling me a lot about it. He's actually the one that shared Meow's post with me, inspired me to elaborate and make that post on Protocol Pump Player. And then I told him, hey, you should be doing this stuff. And because we've been talking back and forth for a few weeks now, I decided to come on board as an advisor to Tonkat. I'm not saying ape into this thing yet. I'm just saying that they're doing everything that you should be doing to follow Protocol Pump Player or Player Pump Player to a T. And this whole project is dedicated around that. Yeah, it might be a slow start, but I think that if you continue to do that and build something that's valuable, then you're probably going to end up in a really good place. So I'm very bullish on TCAT. Of course, I'm watching and waiting to see how it does. They just are building right now their trading bot, and they believe it's going to be the #1 Telegram bot for the TON blockchain. And you can see that how TCAT implements the Protocol Pump Player ethos. So it's a community takeover, and Tyrell's wallet is doxed. 100% of profits from utility project will go back into TCAT ecosystem in the form of token buybacks. Now, I'll be talking to Tyrell as well to say, what are we doing with these buybacks? Are we going to be burning it? Is it going to be adding to LP? Are we going to be rewarding people who are staking? What are we going to do, right? And so any profit generated through the monetization of TCAT platform will go back into the ecosystem either through buybacks or community giveaways. Daily AMAs in Telegram based around PPP and the project. Player Pump Player is a trust-based system, great for the community. Protocol Pump Player is a protocol-based system, trusting data and over faith. So this is what I talk about. This is don't trust, verify. saying that we are both. You can see, let's go to yes here. So it's good. I mean, he's been doing a good job educating the community of what is PPP. That's a big deal. Like it's like I said, it's 101 stuff, but it's very important to kind of understand as we evolve as a space, how you should be designing a token economy, and that we should get away from the idea of centralized value extracting projects and look for those who are distributing that value to the community and not to a central authority. This is the Docs wallet from Tyrell, the crypto king. You know, basically he can never sell this, right? Because that would be very bad for the project. So people can see that he's holding this and really truly doing what he says and following, basically saying, hey, I'm not going to sell my tokens. And I think that the way, you know, the question is, okay, then when do you reap the fruit of your labor? And that's a longer discussion that we can have on a spaces or something, or make another video. But I will be doing more spaces on my X. Make sure you follow me over there at Kyle_Chasse, Chasse, as I'll be covering this topic more in greater depth, because it is everything that I've been doing for the past 2.5 years is building out this protocol pump player ideology in depth. And so this is new for a lot of people, but for me, it's something that's been at my heart, at the core of my being for 2.5 years, building the craziest economic models around it. Last thing about TCAT is they are participating in the Open League in the next season, which I think will be the last season, and has a really good chance to win, which would get them a lot more liquidity and a lot more rewards for the ecosystem and community as well. So very good. And as far as the chart, you can see it had a very, very bullish start. And of course, like all projects, it has a bit of a pullback. But if we look at the chart for Banana Gun, remember that as we get to it, it took about a year to get to where it is now. And I'll show you what that means. So just you have to be patient with these projects, because it takes time. Like TCAT is just about to roll out their bot, so they're not even revenue generating yet. But as soon as they are, that's going to go back into the token. If the team, the community is consistently doing what they say they're going to do over a long period of time, that's what I want to see. That will have tons of confidence. So this is why I'm saying that we shouldn't be spreading our attention too thin, but focused on finding some really great projects and staying in touch with those. And guys, if you get in right now at $11 million valuation, right? When this thing goes to 100, that's a 10x. When it goes to $1 billion, that's 100x, right? If this thing happens to go to 40 billion, that's a 400x. And that's life-changing money no matter what you're doing, right? So it's important that we pay attention and that the team innovates, the community contributes, and the community contributing is the idea of the player pump protocol, or player pump player. And then the protocol pump player is the team and community building cool new utilities for the token, creating more value and having that value being kept within the token ecosystem. Really, really 101 stuff, but super important. Now, Brett is the idea of a meme going extremely well and then them adopting some sort of protocol. So Brett just announced that they're doing this Brett bot, which is great. And they're going to be having revenue. As you can see that BrettBot says the only Telegram bot you need on base chain for any ERC20 token. Earn 80% of any referral fees generated by people you have referred. Additionally, you will earn 20% of referral fees generated by your referrals. BrettBot takes 1% fee, which is used to buy back and burn Brett, referral rewards, and the development team. I've been talking to you guys about Brett forever, since like, I don't know, it was like almost nothing or whatever when we first started talking about it. Now it's at $1.3 billion, and that's back from almost hitting $2 billion market cap. And this is the #1 meme coin on Base protocol. One of the reasons I'm so bullish on it is, one, it has a very strong, vibrant community. Two, it's the #1 token on Base. And since Base doesn't have a token, since Coinbase doesn't have their own native token, Brett kind of represents the token. So if you want to go long on Coinbase, the blockchain, you can buy Coinbase stock, or you can buy Brett the token. It is kind of like the protocol token at this time right now, unless Coinbase releases their own Base token. But even then, right now, if you want to bet on the Coinbase ecosystem, you bet on Brett, right? And the coolest thing about it is that they just announced their Brett bot, which is now putting them in the realm of protocol pump player. And I think it's still a really, really good value, considering if you're bullish on the Base blockchain. You've seen other projects, you know, like Dogecoin and Shiba in the last bull markets, and this is going to be a bigger bull market than the last ones. If they went to 40 and $89 billion respectively, why wouldn't Brett go to $40 billion? Why wouldn't it go to potentially $60 billion or $80 billion? And that still has a 30, 40, 50x in it from here. So again, it's going to take a little bit more money, but it's less risky than TCAT, for example, but TCAT potentially has more upside. But you have to kind of understand where your risk reward is in this ecosystem. So Brett is probably, out of all the projects in this video today, Brett is probably one of the least risky, as it's established itself kind of as this blue chip kind of meme in the Coinbase ecosystem or just in the space in general. But there's still a lot of upside, right? It's still not traded on Binance. It's still not traded on Coinbase. I think that those things are coming, but yet it's not there yet, right? So there's still a lot of upside, a lot of speculation, but this thing is doing right now, it's doing $55 million a day of trading volume. And that is, down because back in June, it was doing $225 million a day of trading volume. So this thing is going to be on Binance. It's going to be on Coinbase. It's going to be institutionalized. It'll probably be in a lot of VCs trading portfolios. So very, very bullish on Brett. I have a fairly substantial bag on it. Probably maybe allocate some more here pretty soon. But PEPECOIN and BASEDAI are some of my biggest bags. And again, I hold positions in everything we're talking about today. Full disclosure, but for good reason. These are all protocol pump player. That means they all have proper sustainable token economics. Can some of them be built out better? Yes. Can some of them be built out more? Yes. But I'm hoping to try to talk to some of the teams and see if I can help them work on some of these things. But PEPECOIN is one that probably doesn't need help from me at all, as it's building insane stuff. And you can see that when we started talking about it before, it was right here around March 3rd or something like that, which is right about here. And then had this meteoric run up and now a bit of a correction as the market cooled off. But man, what an amazing time to get back in right now, as it's not much higher than we first started talking about it all the way back in March, right? And so when we're talking about there, it was like, around $1 or something like that. And now it's at $3, but it went all the way up here to $7.45. But I think that's still cheap considering the fact that they're about to have a huge burn coming up soon. Why is that? Well, you've got BASEDAI, which is connected to PEPECOIN, and I'll tell you about that in a bit more. But the main product that I'm excited for on PEPECOIN is this Keck bot. And if you guys haven't seen the video about PEPECOIN and BASEDAI, make sure that you go do that. I will link it in the description below. You can see here that what they're building is the ultimate trading bot, AI-based chat bot. You can just chat to the bot and say, I want you to do this complicated trade or do that. And it just proposes it to you on multi-chain, multi-step, whatever. So you don't have to go to a bridge anymore and figure out how to bridge something. You don't have to go figure out how to do whatever. Just like you talk to ChatGPT in natural language, you're gonna be able to talk to KeckBot to do really complicated things, and it will know how to do it. For example, if you know that Jerome Powell is making a speech on Wednesday about CPI, and you say, if CPI comes in lower than expected, then I want you to open up a 10x leverage long for me on DYDX, for Bitcoin or whatever, right? It could do that for you. So it's gonna have like real-time oracles to outside data, plus AI for trading, just really, really brilliant. And of course, revenue from the trading bot goes back to the PEPECOIN ecosystem. And because it's connected to BASEDAI, they're gonna be doing this whole brain burn on Based. If you guys don't know, again, it's in my other videos. I don't have time to go into it this video, but essentially, if all these brains sell out, 76% of the supply of PEPECOIN will be burnt forever, creating insane supply shock that will send the price to Valhalla, in my opinion. And as you can see right here, that it's connected to BASEDAI, which I talked about a lot, which is also another huge bag of mine. They're building a layer 1 ZK large language model kind of chain, fully Ethereum ready to go on testnet. Its Cayenne testnet is up and running. And this thing is, in my opinion, criminally undervalued at $165 million market cap for a layer 1 AI blockchain that's almost ready for mainnet, just a few weeks away. And guys, trust me, I've talked to the team several times. This thing is going to melt faces when it comes out. It's just unbelievable, in my opinion, like what a good value this is still. It's insane. Now, Paid Network, if you're not familiar, is my project. One of them, our flagship. This and Commonwealth are the best examples of protocol pump player, the best examples of token economies, I believe, in the world. And I can challenge anyone to go find anything better. But it's just insane how much value is being created and captured within these two ecosystems and how that is all going back into the token economy. Now, what I think is the gold standard, and this is beta, so don't judge it too much. It has a lot more work to be done. But this is beta of the economy, essentially. Right now it's called Flywheel Dashboard, but I want to change it to the token economy, because it'll represent all the data that you need to know, kind of like the Dune dashboard, about things like how many pay tokens are being burnt, or how much can we expect to be burnt, or how's that going to affect the supply or demand, the different projects that launch on Paid, which is a launch pad. and how though that revenue from these projects goes back into the token economy. You can see from like asymmetry, for example, it's not trading yet, but when it does, let's say this does a 5x, that's going to be $50,000 of liquidity added to the DEX. Insane, right? Let's say it does 5x, then you have a $12,000 going into the marketing fund for the paid community. You have $125,000 of paid tokens being burnt. You've got $60,000 of revenue going back into the governance participants of paid, which are the paid stakers, and so on and so forth. So this dashboard is getting built out with more and more data. And you also have this kind of estimator over here, which needs work as well. But let's say that you raised $10 million and it did a 20x. Then that right now would buy back at today's price 315 million tokens. Then is more than are even in circulation, which is impossible, of course, because the price goes up. So this needs some work so it can kind of adjust with the price and depth, liquidity in the exchanges to be more accurate. But it gives you some idea of how powerful this model is, that if we rate in, last quarter paid raised $11 million. So for it to do $10 million and in a bull run for that 10 million to do 20x, and the fees that are collected and that goes back in the token economy, is not unreasonable to think that this has insane effects on the token economy, the best that I've ever seen. And you can see that maybe people are starting to understand just how bullish this is, as in the past 14 days, it's gone up 50%. People are starting to pay more attention to what we're doing over at Paid, because I think it sets the best example, that and Commonwealth, of what a properly designed token economy will be. Plus, we have the news of Crypto Nights coming up, which is the show that I'm going to be on. It's like Shark Tank for crypto. Really high production. I'm very excited for it. We start going to film it in a few weeks in Kuala Lumpur. And yeah, so Paid is official launchpad partner of Crypto Nights, which means that a lot of projects that are on this show will be doing their public sale on Paid, and you guys will be having an opportunity on Paid to participate there, which will create a lot of awareness for Paid, for the projects that are launching on Paid. Very, very bullish on that. Extremely bullish. So Banana Gun is something I've been talking to you guys about for a very, very long time. And I love how they continue to innovate. I told you guys about Banana Gun before it even launched. If you haven't been, a channel subscriber, make sure that you do that now. Turn that bell notification on, because if you had known about Banana Gun, well, you would have gotten into it beta bound back here at $5. Basically, as I said, buy it between $5 and $6. Now it's up at $56 and basically hitting new all-time highs right now. Why Banana Gun is one of the best examples of protocol pump player in the space. It just provides massive value. They've done $5.2 billion in lifetime volume. They've got 213,000 real users, and they're just doing revenue share and all kinds of buybacks. This is all on-chain data to prove all this. Is exactly what you need to be doing. Exactly what you need to be doing. And when it comes down to value of this thing, so price to earnings ratio. So the closer this thing is to 1 or less, the more of an epic deal it is. But if this price to earning was at like a 25 or something like that, it would still be fairly valued on the stock market. When it gets like a 80 or 100, it's like way overvalued probably. But at a 1, basically, this thing is severely undervalued in the way that you'd assess traditional assets. So this thing's still trading at a really, really good value, in my opinion. And you have all the data to show you that this thing is just uber bullish. It's just, people love it. It's super valuable. That's why this chart looks incredibly healthy. When you look at this, we're on the daily chart over here. Look at this thing. Throughout this entire time, and this hasn't happened overnight, guys. This is almost a year ago this thing launched. And I've been talking about it the entire time, telling you guys to get in. If you got in at $5, you'd be up over 11x right now. It's nowhere near the top, because this will be used by more people. As more people come into the space, they'll be generating more revenue. More revenue goes back in the token economy. It's an epic flywheel. Now, so Commonwealth, so Paid is the public sale launchpad that I'm one of the co-founders of, and Commonwealth is the other one, which is decentralized VC. So you, the retail, can get into early stage VC projects like I was fortunate enough to do back in my time, where I was able to invest in Coinbase and Kraken and Ripple and Circle and Bitfinex, all these cool companies that are now worth billions of dollars. You now can do that through Commonwealth, which is a platform for anybody, the retail, to go invest in early stage, the same as all the VCs, the best project in the space, instead of any central VC taking the profit and the revenue out of the pot. Commonwealth takes all of that revenue, all that profit, and keeps it within the token economy. And this white paper over here is an absolute thing of beauty. The entire thing is around the token economy. When you want to talk about like insanely well thought out protocol pump player ideology, this is where you need to go. This thing is insane. Like the kind of flywheel, the token economy, the amount of work that has been put into this is just absolutely beautiful. Like the epitome of what a token economy should be looking like is Commonwealth. And it's just because it's taking a little bit longer for the revenue to come in, because we're investing in early stage and the early stage projects need to actually launch before Commonwealth has revenue. But once it starts going, once the flywheel starts going and the revenue comes in and people can see the future buy pressure, just like on paid, where the future buy pressure comes in from the revenue being generated and those tokens start to unlock and become buy pressure on the wealth token or the pay token, it's going to do magical things. And that's like the best marketing that anyone could do, is saying, hey, look at the revenue this thing's producing. That future revenue is going to come and buy that token on the open market regardless. And what do you think is going to happen when that buy pressure comes in? What happens? And as more people need the token to do things on the app, it's just more demand, less supply. That's 101 economics, right? What does that mean? And of course, it wouldn't be proper without Tucker. Still very, very bullish. In fact, I can show you guys that I just went and bought more just today because I was reminded of how freaking fantastic Tucker is. So let's watch this if you haven't seen it. Look at this, 1.6 million views so far. What is this? Well, it's beautiful.
I spent the weekend reflecting on what may just be the single most significant event in modern political history. And for now, we have more questions than answers. But here's what I know with total certainty. The Secret Service is guilty and must be held to account, either of catastrophic, potentially criminal negligence, or it's guilty of collusion. We know there are multiple pieces of footage that clearly show bystanders pointing to the shooter as he stared down his scope. We also know that despite efforts to alert the authorities, nothing was done, and President Trump remained in the crosshairs for many minutes thereafter. I also know that what happened next will go down as an inflection point in the story of America.
Take a look at what happened.
President Trump was struck by a bullet that should have killed him. And yet, somehow, it didn't. It couldn't. Was it divine intervention? Perhaps, or just the greatest stroke of luck ever captured on film. But I know that either way, that imperceptible turn of the head would change the course of US history. I also know that this, my friends, is what a leader looks like. Brave, defiant, and unafraid. Battered and bloody and willing to die for what they believe in. I know, too, that these images didn't just win Trump the election, but the hearts and minds of the nation and the respect of the world. I know that his rivals have a lot to answer for. They have told us time and again that he was a threat to U.S. democracy, that he was Hitler incarnate, and a threat to the very fabric of America. I know that in 2017, Kathy Griffin held up a bloody Trump head effigy. The same year, Senator Schumer joked about the intelligence community having 6 ways from Sunday to get back at Trump. I know that just 2 weeks ago, David Aaronovitch from the BBC tweeted that Biden should murder the former president. And I know that Joe Biden has denied Secret Service protection to RFK Jr., despite having RFK's father's statue in his office. What I don't know, not for sure, is whether the alleged shooter, Thomas Crooks, was working alone or with assistance, or whether the deep state was behind this, even though nothing would surprise me less. I know that it's almost impossible to believe that Crooks could have accessed that roof without someone turning a blind eye, but also that it is our duty as Americans not to simply arrive at the conclusion that best suits our narrative, no matter how tempting it can be. Political violence like this has no place in this country on either side of the aisle. We must condemn it unequivocally, and remember that revenge is a dish best served at the ballot box with a huge and resounding victory. Those are the principles this country was built on, and the principles on which we can and will make it great again. They tried to destroy his reputation. They tried to take his wealth. They tried to send him to jail, and then they tried to kill him. They failed. And so long as he's alive to see it happen, Donald J. Trump will be the next president of the United States of America. God bless you all, and God bless the fallen victims of this cowardly attack. We'll be back soon, but until then, the ticker is Tucker.
Epic, epic, epic. So, like, no wonder it's pumped 100% today. It just reminds us of the quality. And, of course, Tucker is in the sphere of protocol pump player, as they're charging ad revenue. Now, of course, as we had a downturn in the market and people slow down, they weren't so ready to pay sponsorship. But as things pick up and these videos get more views, I mean, imagine if you had a sponsorship and just 1.5 million people saw your ad, what would you be willing to pay for that? And a lot of that ad revenue that Tucker is going to be making is going back into the buying that token and burning it. Again, very, very bullish as I bought more today, quite a bit. Again, I will be sharing this spreadsheet in the description below. And until later, guys, if you haven't seen my other videos on the ecosystem, make sure that you click on this or this thumbnail and go check out my other videos. Again, subscribe if you're not already. I'll catch you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.